तो यहाँ पे बोला हेलो मैम क्वेश्चंस आ गए, मैंने आपको व्हाट्सएप पे भेजा है। हाँ हाँ, आप उनको दे दीजिए तब तक करने को, वो शायद कर लेंगे। हाँ,
वहाँ पे लाइव कर
बोल रहे हैं लाइव है ना। अभी हम लोग यहाँ पे आ जाते हैं।
हाँ, अभी आप बस किसी से अपना वॉइस
अभी हाँ,
पीछे
मैं
कर
माइक चेक कर रही
नहीं
हूँ।
हाँ, इको नहीं आना चाहिए।
हेलो हेलो विद्या मैम।
यूज करें ना
नहीं, सिस्टम में नहीं यूज करेगा। हेलो, am I audible? Somebody can write on the chat box or Vidya ma'am can let me know. Vidya ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are. Actually, I was not able to unmute myself now. Can you hear me?
I have just made you presenter, so that
Yeah, yes. Okay, okay.
and
Okay.
there is some Vidya Pusari external is being shown, so I will not join that.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, there is no echo. Just check.
No echo. I can hear you well.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
कल्चर ठीक है।
Thank you. I'll give you a call in which sir, if I add the chat box, I have to
चैट जो स्क्रीन आपको दिख रहा है ना वही पे राइट में चैट
Thank you, sir.
Payal ma'am, am I audible?
Yes.
Hello. Payal ma'am, am I audible?
Hello.
Audible. हे काय होते आता हे ते गेलं त्याच्यातून होत नाही.
Ma'am, you can mute yourself.
Yes, yes.
Mute the mic. Sir, we are ready and we started the meeting. Okay, okay, okay. Good afternoon, Jayprakash sir.
Good afternoon, madam. So am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, yes.
We'll just wait for like 5 minutes and we'll start sharp at 3.
Yes, yes, madam. It's हे ओपन केले हे वाला आहे ते ठीक आहे.
तर त्याची स्क्रीन
I would request all the presenters to kindly switch on their camera. I request all the presenters, our speaker, Dr. Jayaprakash Sanshetty sir, Lavina ma'am, to kindly switch on their camera. Dr. Jayaprakash sir and ma'am, to kindly switch on. A very good afternoon to one and all. On behalf of APTI Women's Forum and Capacity Building Forum, I, Dr. Payal Dande, give a very warm welcome to everyone present here. This workshop series, which is there on empowering academic research, a workshop on referencing and research writing, has started from November 16th. We are going to have 4 such workshop series. Today we are going to run the second one, which is for November. And we have a very important speaker with us today. Not only going to talk about just referencing, but he is going to take it right from the draft till the publication of the research paper, Mastering the Art of Research. So I would, without further ado, I would request Lavina to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Payal ma'am. A very good evening, present here. I, Professor Lavina Jain, Coordinator, APTI Women's Forum, Maharashtra, am honored to welcome Dr. Jayaprakash Sanshetty sir, a distinguished academic and researcher, a speaker on the topic from draft to publication, mastering the art of research paper writing under the aegis of APTI Women's Forum and Capacity Building Forum, Maharashtra. Dr. Sanshetty sir is currently a professor at Y.B. Chauhan College of Pharmacy, Aurangabad. He has an illustrious career spanning over 22 years. He earned his B.Pharm from the same institution and followed by M.Pharm from Mumbai Marathwada University, Aurangabad. An approved PhD guide at Dr. B.A.M. University. He is mentoring students and has guided over 40 M.Pharmacy students. With a cumulative impact factor exceeding 600, Dr. Sanshetty sir has published 282 research papers in international journals, achieving an H index of 41 and receiving 6,200 citations. Notably, 5 of his papers have been ranked among the hottest 25 articles by Science Direct. Dr. Sancheti sir's academic contributions extend to authorship of 5 books and 6 book chapters published by renowned publishers from Nature Sprinklers, CRC Press, Elsevier, and Bentham Science. His pioneering research has resulted in
Okay.
8 patents,
Uh,
2 published, and 6 granted, and he has served as a reviewer for over 100 international journals. He is a
that's right.
recipient of numerous accolades, including the Young Scientist Award from DST, the Young Pharmacy Teacher Award by Maharashtra APTI in 2015, and the Best Paper Award from Elsevier in 2015. Additionally, his innovative work has been recognized with the V Life Best Publication Award in 2014 and the P.D. Shetty Award for the Best Research Paper in 2009. Beyond academic excellence, Dr. Sancheti has successfully completed projects worth rupees 1.1 crore funded by DST, UGC, AICTE, SERD. He is working as an international panel member of Project Evaluation Committee of National Science Center, Polish Ministry of Science and Higher Education, Poland since 2015, and contributed as a brand ambassador for Bentham Science Publisher from 2017 to 2019. His key research areas include the design and synthesis of bioactive molecules, development and validation of analytical methods for drugs and pharmaceutical dosage forms, application of quality by design in drug development, and polymer synthesis for gene delivery system. Dr. Sancheti's exceptional impact is reflected in his inclusion in the top 2% researchers list published by researchers of Stanford University for 5 consecutive years from 2020 to 2024. We are privileged to have Dr. Sancheti sir with us, sharing his invaluable insights and expertise to empower academic researchers in their journey of excellence. Thank you. Now, I request Dr. Jaiprakash Sancheti sir to address the forum. Thank you.
Sir,
The mic is off.
kindly unmute your.
So thank you, madam, for the introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Payal madam, meanwhile, can you just check if Dr. Redasni is there online?
He is finding some problem joining, sir. So, okay.
Sir, actually, he is not able to join.
Okay.
So I would welcome Dr. Rakesh Somani, President APTI Maharashtra, and would request him to address the gathering.
If Dr. Redasni is not there, no, you said?
Yes, on behalf of them. First.
Sir, he is getting problem. Technical issues he have for the joining.
Acha. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, yeah, before Jaiprakash sir, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to be on this platform today. Let me appreciate the efforts of the entire Women Forum of APTI Maharashtra for initiating this activity. All my dear faculty members, fellow colleagues, you all know that APTI Maharashtra has been one of the most dynamic branches of the APTI in the country and are working tirelessly for the members, faculty members, not only in terms of the policy matters, but also upgrading their knowledge. So this particular faculty development program is one of the initiatives taken by the Women Forum of APTI Maharashtra. And I'm sure this today's session, that is second session of this EFDP, would value add into your domain knowledge, because the expert himself is one of the well-known experts in the field of pharmaceutical and medicinal chemistry. I look forward that Dr. Sanjay Shetty's talk would give a new insight to all of us. Thank you so much once again, the Women Forum, and all the participants for being present on this platform. Over to you, sir.
Okay. So thank you very much, sir. Very good afternoon. So am I audible, madam?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So again, today I'm here to share my views on research paper writing, basically from draft to the publication. So in fact, writing research paper, it is different, we can say, needs to be looked into different perspective as far as a researcher is concerned, because working in the lab and presenting the content of the paper so that it can be considered by the suitable journal, so that you can get the credit of your work that you have carried out in the laboratory. So it requires some special skills. Working in the lab, there are many researchers who are very good in working in the lab. They can get the good results. But if they are not able to put that particular results in a, we can say, the way as per the requirements of the journals, or if they are not able to, we can say, create their draft in such a way that that particular journal should get an attention. And for that, it requires different efforts. Now, there are many books as such available for writing the research paper, how we can write the research paper, how research paper can be made effective, or how we can publish our article in the quality journals. But if you ask me about are there any specific rules for writing the research paper? No, there are different aspects that have been shared by the different researchers who are working in this particular field since long time, and they have shared and they have compiled in the form of book. Now, if being a researcher working in the field of pharmacy, now before starting this particular session, I want to clear that this particular session, it will be merely for the researchers who are working in the lab and who want to convert that particular work in the form of a draft, and they want to communicate to the suitable journal. And if I could give some hints as far as writing the research paper through this particular session, that will be helpful for the researchers, because this is a different era as far as writing research paper is concerned. Now, different views are there, different experiences we gained when we came across number of communications to the different journals, and combining all the experience that I gained in almost last 20 years, I am going to share all the views in this particular presentation. Now, as far as the content of this particular session is concerned, why there is a need to write the research paper, then what are the hurdles in the publication, what exactly the process of publication is, then what are the different parts of research paper, then how the submission process and review process is, and lastly, I'm going to highlight some aspects of writing covering letter and the significance of covering letter as far as research paper writing is concerned. Now, being in the academics, and we cannot separate research from the academics, as we all know. I'm working in this particular field as such in almost from the last 2 decades. Number of communications I came across. I have communicated the paper to the different journals. Every time I learn something, I improvise that particular draft, and again I communicate to the different journals. So whatever the views I am going to express, these views are my personal views. So different researchers may have some different experience, and I cannot say that these are the written rules and you need to follow it, because during the journey, almost more than 2000 communications I came across, and every time I will not get the acceptance. And if I will get the acceptance in the first attempt, I will not learn many more things that we need to develop yourself as a good scientific writer. Basically, scientific writing, it is a new era as far as any science is concerned. So in the initial side, what scientific writing is, it is not about writing the science, but it is a technical writing to communicate or sharing the research to the others. As far as sharing of research is concerned, the development of science is totally depending on how effectively you are or how you are going to share your research findings to the scientific community. Science is growing because people are sharing their views to the scientific community. Development of science, it is totally depending on how people are transforming or people are because transforming their knowledge to the different sectors of scientific community. The knowledge that has been shared by one researcher, yes.
There is a request from the participants to make your presentation in the presentation mode.
Okay. इसको बोलो प्रेजेंटेशन मोड में कैसे करनी है? Okay. Will it be okay now?
Yes, sir.
So, scientific writing that we are discussing, it is a technical writing to communicate the sharing research to others, and significance of sharing, it is ultimately supporting to the development of science. Science, it is only growing because of researchers that they are sharing their scientific findings. What are the different types of scientific writing? Writing synopsis, writing thesis, writing research paper, poster presentations, research proposals, performance report, and scientific writing of general interest, among which we are focusing on the research paper. And as far as academics is concerned, this publication in the suitable journal has gained much importance because of some of the regulatory requirements by the different for the academician researchers who are working in the area. Now, this is one statement: writing and publishing research paper in a quality journal, it is an art. If what I mean to say through this particular slide is basically, as I mentioned at the start, working and getting the publication out of that work, it is very different aspect. There are different researchers, researchers working in the different areas, and they might be very good in working. They have very good ideas. These ideas, they can, if they have been implemented, but if they are not able to prove the significance of the idea that they have worked on, and if they are not able to put that particular idea on a proper platform, then that particular idea, it will not reach to the maximum scientific community, and they will not get the justice as they deserve to be. Basically, it is an art, as I mentioned, because there is one survey which has been published in Journal of American Chemical Education. So how much weightage will be given for working in the lab and writing for the research paper? Show the significance. If you are not able to show the advantage of your idea that you have worked on, if you are not able to mention that yes, this particular idea which I have worked in the laboratory, it definitely fills the gap between known and unknown. Unless and until you will not able to convince it, the idea will not be published. And basically, as such, scientific writing, it has gained the much importance. The reason behind it is, though you are a good researcher in the lab, if you are not able to share that particular success to the scientific community, the idea remains with you, and this idea will be catched by someone else. Now, why there is a need to write and publish research paper? So these are the different reasons. Ideally, to share the research findings and discoveries with the help of improving healthcare, since we are concerned with the health sector. Then publishing in a reputed journal, ultimately it involves a research particular process, and getting the stamp of authenticity as far as publication in a good journal is concerned. As far as practical need is concerned, to get the fundings, to get promoted, to get job, and to keep your job. So these are the different aspects why publications are needed. Now again, the points which I have mentioned, all these points are again a topic of debate, but I am not going to enter in the topics where multiple views of different researchers are there. In this particular session, I will focus on how we can write the research paper, why research paper writing is important, and what important considerations are there. paper writing is concerned. Now, if you are finished with your work, then what makes a good research paper, or how will you say that my research paper is good? There are three important criteria. One is good science, second is good presentation, and third is publication in the reputed journal. Now, as far as first point is concerned, that is good science. Any science which is not useful for the human, it is not always considered as a good science. And any science which doesn't involve novelty, we are not calling it as a good science. Basically, novelty or novel concept which is useful for the development of human, it is always considered as a good science. And if you want to make your paper as a good research paper, it must involve the good science. Even if the concept is good, even if the idea is good, even if the idea will be helpful for the development of humans, but if we are not able to present that particular idea on a paper in a systematic manner as per the requirement of that particular journal, then the idea will not be accepted by the paper. So good presentation, it is another requirement as far as writing research paper is concerned. Even the science is good, your presentation is also good, but in a hurry, if you are publishing that particular work in a non-reputed journal, again the question comes, what is reputed journal and what is non-reputed journal? The reputation of a journal, internationally accepted scale, is the impact factor that has been given by the Thomson Reuters and Cleveland Analytics. They combinedly publish the data in the month of June every year based on the citations of last 2 years. They will give the impact factor for all the journals. They will give the list of Sci journal, that is Science Citation Index journals, and expanded Sci journals. And if the article, if the journal, it is listed in that particular list, and if it is having an impact factor which is given by Web of Science, Thomson Reuters, or Cleveland Analytics, we can say that this particular journal is reputed journal. Now, this is the only scale that internationally considered. Now, if all these three things are there in your paper, then we can say that this particular paper, it will be a good research paper. Now, there was one again survey which has been published in the Journal of American Chemical Education. As far as Indian sector is concerned, we are very good in the first point, but we are lagging in the second point, that is good presentation. Majority of the papers which are rejected from the Indian sector, it is because of the poor presentation by the researchers. Even if the idea is good, if the presentation is not good, then the editor will think about consideration of that particular article in that journal. Now, there are different views on impact factor. There are many journals who are claiming their self-impact factor. Which list we need to stake? As I mentioned, internationally accepted parameter for evaluation of a quality of journal, it is the impact factor which has been mentioned, which has been published every year in the month of June by Cleveland Analytics, that is Thomson Reuters impact factor, we have to consider. So all these three important points we need to consider if you want to make your paper as a good research paper. Now, what are the hurdles in the publication? Basically, publication has gained much more importance in last almost 3 decades. There were very few journals were present. If you consider the era before 25 years, very few journals were there, and they were publishing the different findings of the researchers in the different sectors. As far as pharmacy is concerned, in the Indian sector, when we were in the M.Pharm, we mostly heard about the journals like Indian Drugs, Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Now, as far as international sector is concerned, only top journals which we are referring now in the different fields like pharmaceutics or pharmaceutical analysis or phytochemistry areas, only these journals were known at that time. But number of journals have been started, that is good. Number of platforms required for sharing the views of researchers have been increased. And as number of journals have been increased, the competition among the researchers has also been increased because of availability of the resources for the literature survey. Researchers are continuously behind the new ideas. There is a tremendous competition among the researchers for the new ideas, and this is one of the reasons publication in the reputed journal is quite difficult. Since we have many resources available for the literature survey has made it very easy. If we ask you ask about our time when we did our literature survey in the Hopkins laboratory by referring many journals, referring different chemical abstract at that time. The scenario has been completely changed in last 25 years. If we have an idea and if you want to implement the idea, whether that idea has been worked or not, the answer of which we can get within 1 minute. There are different resources like SciFinder, there are different resources like CA on CD, there are different resources like CA Chemical Abstract Service online. All these resources will give the answer to the question which we are looking for right now. And immediately in the next morning, we can think to work on that idea. And this particular competition among the researcher, because of availability of the resources to the researcher, it creates a major hurdle as far as publication is concerned. Now, if I am working on one concept and I feel that yes, this particular concept got good results and that particular results can be communicated to the suitable journal. And if I feel that yes, this particular concept can be suitable for this X journal. Now, if I refer the articles which have been published in that X journal 5 years back, then if the same type of work which I have carried out today, if it has been published in the journal 5 years back, today the journal will not consider the same work. The reason is, as the competition among the researcher has been increased, journals have upgraded their requirements, and because of which the rejection rates by the journal has been tremendously increased. Example, Nature, more than 90%. These are the old figures. In fact, Nature rejects almost 97% of the communications communicated to that particular journal. Journals like Green Chemistry, more than 80% or 70%. Journal of Biological Chemistry, 65 to 70%. Why these rejection rates are high? Because journals are continuously upgrading their requirements, because same types of articles, if researchers are communicating to the journals, they ask for something different. Yes, I can tell you the example. When we published some synthetic work in 2006, the requirement of the journals was characterization of the chemical compound. They only ask about IR spectra, NMR, that is HNMR, and mass. Now, number of such type of articles with synthesis, characterization, and biological activities, if number of articles communicated to the journal has been tremendously increased, journal has increased their requirements. They are asking about, yes, that is not sufficient, we want C13 NMR. After some year, that particular requirements of the journal, they have again upgraded. Yes, we are not interested in simple mass, we are requiring HRMS. Similarly, with the biological aspects, the simple papers where researchers have worked on in vitro antimicrobial activity, we can see the number of papers that have been published on synthesis and antimicrobial evaluation of some chemical compounds. If I will communicate such type of work to the same journal today, within 1 day I will get the rejection with the 1-line rejection letter. The work is very primary and it is not matching as per the requirement of the journal. So the rejection rate has been increased because journals have upgraded their requirements, and in line with the requirements of the journal, we have to search for the journal, and that is very difficult as far as researchers are concerned. Now, what are the reasons behind rejection? That is very important aspect. Basically, when being a researcher working in the lab, ideally there are different views whether to work for some good results or whether to work for some good publication. This particular question needs to be asked ourselves, and if your answer is yes, I have to work for the science, if I will go get the good results, definitely good publication will be followed. Now, as far as rejection is concerned, weak experimental design is very much important. As we all know, if you refer the papers which have been published as far as pharmaceutics work is concerned, there are many papers that I will quote the name of the journal, that is International Journal of Pharmaceutics. There was one time, if we are working on the resolution studies, the concentration of that particular drug which has been released, if you determine it on the UV spectrophotometer, that type of work journal used to accept before 20 years. But today, if you communicate your work to that particular journal, and if you are working on some release study, and if you are determining the concentration of that particular drug release and using UV visible spectrophotometer, immediately the journal will not consider. They ask you, yes, we want use of HPLC for determining the concentration. So experimental design, it needs to be updated. That is the most important aspect. Even if the experimental design is good, suitability to the journal, that is one of the important aspects. If your work it is related with one specific area, and if that work is not considered by the journal, which is not fitting with the scope of that particular journal, ultimately you will get the rejection. And third important point is lack of novelty. Now, what is novelty? Novelty, it is a relative term. If you ask many people, novelty means completely naya kuch chahiye. It is not always true. Expanding the concept, it is also novelty. According to me, it is a relative term. Being an academician, being an academic researcher, working with the limited infrastructure, working on the totally novel concept, it is practically difficult. We all know what are our limitations, but we can't blame that particular aspect. But whatever the things we have, we need to work on it. So lack of novelty means adding the novelty to the concept that you have chosen as far as writing research paper is concerned is very important. And if there is no novelty, ultimately the paper will get rejected. Even if the first point, that is experimental design, is good, even the journal which you have chosen for communication, that is also good as per matching as per the requirement. If the concept is having some novelty that you have already worked out, if it is novel, and if your presentation is not good, if it is a poor presentation, then in that case journal will reject your work. Now, why presentation is important and why scientific writing has gained much importance in last few years, that is the reason. So as a reviewer, when usually some research papers come to me, I will check for the concept first. Yes, concept is good, but that good concept will not work every time. Because when we as a reader, when we as a researcher search for some paper, and if that paper will be in front of us, then what we expect from that particular paper, whatever the data has been presented, it should not create the confusion in the mind of reader. That is the most important aspect. Perfect. Means there must be something that will be helpful. Presentation means presenting the paper in a systematic way so that there should not be any confusion in the mind of a reader. That is very much important. And as far as rejection is concerned, there are many reasons, the particular 4 reasons that I mentioned. Each reason that has been mentioned, it is having their own significance. Nobody can say that, yes, my paper, it is having good experimental design, it is in the scope of that particular journal, but novelty is having some issue. Yes, definitely editor will not consider your work, because what editor expectation of the editors are, the article must be read by many researchers. First important thing, it must create the interest of researchers. Another important aspect, it must be referred by many researchers so that the citations of that particular journal will be increased, and ultimately the impact factor of that journal will be improved. These are the expectations of any researcher editor, and with that expectation, journals always try to maintain the quality, and we have to meet that requirements as far as journals are concerned. So these are the different reasons why paper gets rejected. Now there are many more reasons, but these particular reasons I have shortlisted. Now, before starting the research paper writing, there are important aspects that we need to consider. Yes, we have finished our work, we have identified the topic, we have established some observations out of our research. Now we want to prove that yes, these particular observations definitely will be helpful for further exploration. It needs some work more, but whatever the findings I have, it will be definitely helpful for the scientific community. As far as academic research is concerned, working on the topic which will be helpful for the further exploration, that is much more sufficient. For us who are working on the academic platform with the limited infrastructure, we can't blame that we don't have the infrastructure, but still, what is our duty? Our duty is to give some concepts, so to give some primary findings in a science that will be further explored by the researchers working in that area. No doubt, these ideas may take a good shape and that idea may be marketed, this idea may be there in the market. As such, if you see the scenario of academic research in India, we are far lagging behind. Again, I used to mention many references as such. So there is one survey which has been published in the Journal of American Chemical Education. 70% of the drugs which are there in the market, they have direct or indirect link with the academic research. It is generally said. And this is the strength of our academic research. We, no doubt, we are not giving directly the new molecule to the market, but we are somewhere initiating the concept of in that particular area. That concept has been no doubt further explored by the different researchers. So we are very strong people as far as development of science is concerned. And based on that survey, it was restricted to the developed countries. But as far as Indian sector is concerned, very few molecules we could give in last 60 years. One of the reason behind it is the policy decisions. Another important aspect is the promotion of research in the academics by the different governments till date. But still, whatever we are working on, whatever the ideas we are working on, that ideas needs to be communicated to the suitable journal, which will be further explored by the researchers, so that ideas will be definitely come into the market after a few years. Now, if you want to write good research paper, the most important thing which we need to remember, it is reading the references. Now, why reference need to be read by the researcher? The most important thing is it will help us to choose a proper journal. If I am communicating my work for a suitable journal, I need to refer the articles which have been published in last 1 year or 6 months. If suppose I have selected one journal and I am thinking to communicate my work to that particular journal, and if I am referring the articles which have been published 2 to 3 years back, ultimately the journal may have updated their expectations. So we need to refer the articles 6 months or 1 year, whether the such type of work has been considered by the journal or not. Then again, better insight into possible reviewers as per the requirement of time. There was one time where journals were not asking about the list of reviewers, but now they are asking the list of reviewers who can evaluate your paper. And definitely these reviewers will not evaluate your paper, but they want to increase their database. At very few times, whatever the reviewers you have suggested, the same paper will be evaluated by the evaluators. So this is for increasing the database of that particular journal, reviewers database of that particular journal. Then choosing journal, it is totally depending on, again, as I mentioned, the nature of work that you have carried out, the type of articles that have been published in last 1 year, 2 years, or maximum up to 2 years. For communicating or for writing a research paper to that particular journal, we need to read the author's instruction. Again, reading author instruction, it will help us whether the article which I am going to write, it is in the scope of that particular journal or not. Now, after first page of the journal, the second page, it will be definitely of author's instruction. We need to refer it. It will give the clear-cut scope of the work. It will avoid further delay in the publication, because if we will communicate, if my work is related with the chromatography, and if I am communicating my work to the journals like Journal of Mass Spectrometry, within 1 day or 2 days, I will get the rejection. So scope of work is very important. Scope of work that journal is to consider, and the work which you have carried out, it should match. And for gaining an insight on the type of work the journal will accept, consider the work, you need to go through the references, you need to go to the author's instruction. Now this is in general process of publication. So as I mentioned at the start, this particular presentation I have prepared for the initial researchers who want to start the write-up process. Those in this particular meeting, maybe there are very established researchers, and they all know this particular process, what exactly publication process is. But the different slides I want to focus for the researchers who want to start the publication process, that will be helpful. Now, once you finish with the research process, then you have to start with the preparation of manuscript. Once you prepare the manuscript as per the requirement of the journals, you need to submit it. Submitting it will lead to, again, after submission, nowadays many journals, reputed journals, they have appointed technical editors. Technical editor will see whether the article is as per the journal format or not. Even if the idea is good, if the article is not in the journal format, they will send back you that article. and they will ask you to make the corrections as per the journal format. Evaluating the concept is secondary for them, because technically we are approaching for the publication to the journal. No doubt our work is good, but still publication is our need. We are approaching them. We need to follow their instructions, and that's why we have to prepare your manuscript as per their requirement. And for evaluating the article with reference to the journal requirements, some technical directors, they will evaluate it, and if it is as per the requirement, they will send it to the main editor. Editor will assign the review. Again, reviewers may be 3, reviewers may be 4, reviewers may be 5. The reviewers may be more than 10 also. So depending on the journal policies, they will send the paper to the different reviewers, and they will take the comments on that particular paper, and decision will be taken by the final decision will be taken by the editor. If the decision it is revision, it will be sent to the researcher for the revision. If the revision is satisfied, which is addressing all the issues which has been raised by the reviewer, then if it is not addressing all the issues, they will send it for again reviewer will give the comments, and you may get acceptance or rejection. Now again, if you are getting the rejection in the first attempt with number of comments by the reviewers, we have to think about the journal. We have to think about the nature of work that you have carried out. Now again, we cannot enter in the lab every time. Once you finish with the work, specifically for the PhD students who have finished the work and they are searching for the different journals, then after getting some initial rejections, they are in a hurry. Yes, this journal has rejected the work. I will communicate my work to some journal which is not having impact factor. Rather than going with that approach, I suggest that yes, try to go for another journal whose impact factor is low, and if it is matching with the work that you have carried out, re-communicate to that particular journal. Simply taking the paper which has been rejected by one journal and changing the format and communicating to another journal, this is very not a good practice. What I suggest is, once the article will get rejected with some we can say comments, we need to work on that particular comments. No doubt, if there are 10 comments, and we can improve our manuscript with reference to 8 comments, and 2 comments we cannot improve by any means. In that case, we need to improve our manuscript with the 8 comments, and again you have to search for the another journal. So this is generally a process of publication and how we can proceed with the publication on this. Now sometimes journal may send that particular article to many reviewers. I have experience of say more than 10 reviewers at one time. So one of my article has been sent to 10 reviewers, and out of 10, 7 reviewers were in the favor and 3 reviewers were against my publication. Then editor has given me the chance. Ultimately, editor is a final decision maker. Sometimes what happens, if article has been sent to say 4 reviewers, out of 4, 2 reviewers are in the favor and 2 reviewers are not in the favor. Editor himself is a researcher working in that area. He acts as a third reviewer. He will give his comments, and according to the comments, he will take the decision about whether the article should consider or it has to be rejected. So it varies from the journal to journal. Simply, you have to be in the process of communication continuously, improvise your manuscript continuously with every rejection. Now, I usually say that if you are getting the success in the first attempt, you will not learn many things which are important as far as developing yourself as a good scientific writer is concerned. So you need many rejections at the start of your career. Every rejection will give some lesson as far as scientific writing is concerned, and on fine day you may develop as an improved scientific writer. I cannot say that a perfect scientific writer. So if anybody is calling himself as an I'm very good and perfect scientific writer, he or she is fooling herself or himself, because nobody becomes a perfect scientific writer. It is a continuous process. We need to improvise ourselves, and we have to take the lessons from every rejection, and we have to improve for the next time. Now, selecting journal, that is most important aspect as far as research paper writing is concerned. Now, while selecting the journal, since we have worked in the lab, we have gone through the literature survey, we have worked on the topic, we have a thorough survey of literature and with pros and cons of that particular area that has been worked out. And according to me, we are the best judge of our work. So if you see, you have to ask some questions. Yes, the first question is, what is the degree of importance of your work? Whether my work, it is just an expansion of the existing idea, whether the work that I have carried out, it is very basic work and it will just give some new lines to already existing concept, or whether I have worked on the concept that has not yet been worked on. You have to ask the question to yourself. You are the best judge of your work at the start. And if the answer is yes, this work is very primary, then go to the journal which is having a low impact factor, or we can say that the journal which is accepting such type of work. Now, if you feel that yes, this particular concept has not yet been worked out, people have tried with different ways, but the approach which I chose to work on that particular concept is totally different, and I got the success. And if you are confident about it, then you have to go for the journal with, we can say, good quality. Now, choosing journal is very important. There are different ways which have been suggested by the researchers. What is the coverage of journal? What are the number of citations for that particular articles which are published in the journal? That is impact factor, which is very important as such. Now, what I feel is reading the recent articles of that particular journal, it is the best practice if you want to choose a journal. So if I want to communicate my work today, I need to refer the articles of last 6 months. Because if I refer the articles 1 year back or 2 years back, ultimately journal may have upgraded their requirements and your work may get rejected from that journal. So asking the questions yourself, what is the importance of your work, degree of importance, that is very important. And you are the best judge based on the literature survey that you have, based on the findings of the literature survey, based on the analysis of literature survey, how important the problem that you have chosen, how important the findings which you got from out of the work that you have carried out, and how it will be helpful, and how there is how the idea can be further explored in order to get something good as far as development of science is concerned. And that's why considerations, important considerations are the analysis of literature survey and asking some questions to yourself. That is the most important aspect. Now, there are some again important aspects. If your work is from the specific field, submit to the specific journals. I have mentioned some of the journals like proteins and peptide letters. If your work is related with the proteins and peptides, rather than going for the generalized science journals, if you stick to proteins and peptide letters journals like this one. If your work is related with the nanoscience, if your work is related with the mass spectrometry, if your work is related with the ultrasonic sonochemistry, if you have worked on neuroscience specifically with the pharmacological aspects, there are specific journals where they are considering the specific work in the specific areas. And that's why if we communicate such specific work to the general journal, then there is tremendous rush as far as submission is concerned. And they may not be judge you properly. And even if your concept is good, they may not consider your article. So if you want to give the proper justice to a journal, if idea that you have chosen, if it is from the specific field, try to go for the specific journals. That is one more suggestion. Then again, if your research is truly groundbreaking, as I mentioned, if you feel that yes, this concept is totally novel, people have worked on it, but whatever the approaches they have tried, they got a limited success. But whatever the approach I have chosen, I got a good success compared with them. And I can justify that particular success with some strong support of its characterization or some analytical data. Then you can go for a high profile journals like Journal of Medicinal Chemistry, Cell and Science. Now again, how novel is your work? Novelty, as I mentioned, it is a relative term. Working in the you can say academic sector, working on the totally novel concept with the limited infrastructure. I am using a limited infrastructure with the hope that most of the participants are from the private academic institutions and they know what are our limitations, but still we cannot change the situation. We have to consider that yes, we have these particular things with us. So whatever the things we have, we need to utilize that things to the maximum extent. That is very much needed. Now, utilizing the things which we have, taking the help of the people who are working in that area at the renowned institutions where they will help you probably, and working on a particular concept, improvising the novelty of the concept, that is very much important. Now, as I mentioned, novelty is a relative term. Though practically working on totally novel concept in the academic institution, it is quite difficult, but adding novelty is very important, that I used to mention. What adding novelty is, yes, if this one parameter has been already worked on, if we want to work on the concept that has not been explored, but if you want to improvise that particular concept in your lab, you need to go for the help from the multiple institutions. Collaboration, it is one of the important aspects for improving the novelty or adding the novelty to the concept is concerned. And that's why how novel your work is, that is very much important consideration before communicating to the suitable journal. Now again, there are different views of different people. Yes, I have very good concepts, but that concept cannot be worked on. Yes, whatever the part of that particular experiments which are required to improve, implement that concept, that part we can carry out our institution. If we require some help, people are ready to help. There is again a complaint that people will not help from the reputed institutions. Yes, we approach 10 people, out of 10 people, at least 1 or 2 will be there to help you. And this is my experience. So you may get some negative response from 1 or 2. It doesn't mean that people are not ready to help us. Yes, in the science, ultimately, how successful researcher you are and how you have become a successful researcher, it all depends on how you have implemented your ideas with, even though you have limited infrastructure, and how effectively that particular idea implementation will be done with, at the different platforms. So I can tell you many examples. Yes, if suppose I am working on synthesis and biological activity. Now I can work on synthesis of the compound, I can characterize the compound. For the biology, I need to take the help of some biotech people who have a good, we can say, infrastructure with reference to that biological activities. Even if infrastructure, it is a very important aspect, and everywhere, even if you ask the student who is a student or a teacher who is working in the NCL, he will enlist you the number of problems which he or she is facing. For them, if you ask you, can you get a single crystal analysis easily? They will tell you yes, no, we will not get it. So problems are everywhere. Whatever the infrastructure we have, we need to work on that particular area, and you have to take the help from the different institutions working in that particular. People are ready to help you. So adding novelty is very important. So choosing a problem that will address the issue which immediately society is facing. Working on that particular problem to maximum extent with your institution, taking the help of different peoples who are actually involved in the work at the different institution. Ultimately, on one fine day, you may get the success. And that's why addition of novelty is very important, even if we cannot work on completely novel concept at academic institution. So you can select a topic which is completely novel. We can work on the area to partial extent with your institution, and you can take the help of the peer researchers who are working in the different areas. Now, again, the important consideration is how carefully and skillfully the work has been carried out. That is very important. Now, again, some journals will always consider that, yes, you need to use all the chemicals of good quality. So these are the primary requirements. If you are working on some research areas, whatever the resources we are using, they are of required standards. Now coming to the important point, construction of manuscript. Now, assuming that yes, you have worked in the lab, we have good findings as far as the chosen concept is concerned. Whatever the topic I have considered for work, I have I have set, say, almost 7 objectives at the start, out of which I achieved 6 objectives. One objective I could not achieve, that is okay, and that cannot be achieved today. So it's okay. As far as research is concerned, we need to set some objectives and we have to achieve maximum objectives. Once the objectives of your research that you set at the start will be achieved to the maximum extent, the next job comes converting that data in the form of paper. That is the most important aspect. Now, so you spend the time may be 6 months, time may be 1 year, time may be say 2 years also. Now, actual job of scientific writing, actual trick of any researcher, converting all the stuff and compiling all the stuff within say 25-30 pages as per the requirement of the journal that is there. Now, there are most important things, right? With the precision, clarity, and economy. Every sentence should convey the exact truth as simply as possible. Now, when we refer, when I used to interact with the students, I always mention them that if we download any research paper, what are your expectations from that research paper? Student always used to mention that, sir, हमको समझना चाहिए, उसने काम क्या किया है. So, if we are expecting that, yes, what type of work he has carried out, what are his findings, how the findings which have been mentioned in that particular research paper will address some of the issues or some of the problems that has not yet been addressed, and how this idea can be further explored. That is the conclusion part of that particular research program. So if you are expecting something like this from any research paper, then your research paper must include this. So being a teacher, I always used to mention to the MPharm student that, so whatever the things you expect from the teacher when you are sitting in front of the student, all the things need to be inculcated yourself if you want to become a good teacher. So likewise, when we are going through any research paper, we expect many things from that particular research paper. So there should not be any confusion in the mind of a reader, what he has done and why he has done. So as such, the concept of green chemistry, it is more concerned with the environment, why we need to take care of environment. We know all that we are facing many problems as far as environment, and these particular aspects have been forced by the regulatory bodies, unless and until there are some rules. So we are not working on it. Likewise, cost of the medicines is at the base as far as pharmaceutical development is concerned. Since we are working on the different aspects of pharmaceutical drug development, but at the base, cost is there, and everywhere in the research, economy plays an important role. And that's why, while writing the manuscript, how the concept that you have worked out, that concept can be helpful and that concept can be worked with the limited cost. How I have reduced the cost as far as process chemistry is concerned. India, it is the leader as far as process API development is concerned. So we are master in reducing the cost involved in the synthesis of many drugs, and that particular thought we need to inculcate while writing some manuscript. Every sentence should convey the exact truth as simply as possible. So again, this will avoid the confusion in the mind of reader. That is the most important point. Now again, these are some general parts of manuscript. So elements of manuscript, we can say that. Now again, title, abstract, introduction, methods, results, discussion, table, figures, and references. Now, based on the journals, sometimes result and discussion may be combined part. Some of the journal mention that rather than methods, they mention it as an experimental part. Sometimes result and discussion will be on the 4th position, and experimental part will be on the 5th position. Sometimes figures and tables, they need to be separated from the main text. Sometimes they need to be incorporated. It all depends on your journals to which you are going to communicate. Now we will see one by one. See, these are my personal views regarding how the paper should be, what should be the requirements of the title. It may be possible that some of the researchers may have some different views. So whatever the views I am expressing here, these views are not the written rules. But still, whatever the experience I gained in last 2 decades, as I mentioned, with more than 2,000 communications that I made to the different journals, with almost 70% of the rejections. So I'm sharing all this experience. Now, first is and most important part is title. Now, as such, title, it is the first part of your research paper, which is basically observed by any researcher in the world. If anybody is searching on your area on the Google, the first part it will be appear on the search page is your title. So researchers are working in the area. Why they are working in the area? They want to support the science. They want to expand the science. How science will be expanded? Unless and until new ideas will be expanded, or unless and until the new ideas will be explored, the science will not expand. And for that, all the researchers are always busy to reach to the maximum part of scientific community. And that's why the title plays an important role to maximum part of scientific community in our area where we are working. So title, it must be grammatically creative. It must be short and precise. Again, how short it should be, it all depends on journal requirements. The most important thing is the number of words which are given in the title are very important. We need to stick to the journal requirements. Why grammatical creativeness is required? Because it will gain the attention of researchers. Why we need to gain the attention of researchers? We expect that maximum researchers should refer my work. Why researchers must refer? Because if they will go through my article, they will refer my work in their own work. Number of citations will be increased, and ultimately you will your quality as a researcher will be improved. And that is a personal expectation by any researcher. But as far as ethical aspect is concerned, your work that you have carried out in the lab, it must reach to the maximum scientific community, and that's why it has to reach to that the maximum part so that it can be further explored. Exploration of idea is very much important. If you have one good idea, if it is not shared, it will not explode. And unless and until it will not explode, ultimately it will not come in the form of some good concept in the market. And that's why to reach to the maximum scientific community, grammatically creative title is much needed. It must be short and precise. Use of abbreviation should be avoided. The title should not be more than one sentence. That is the most important aspect. Now, this is the second part, that is abstract. Abstract, it is a part after the title which is reaching to the maximum scientific community. No doubt we have many resources now, but majority of the researchers in the world, they are drawing the conclusion about your work by reading the abstract only, because they don't have the subscriptions. I am not going in the part about the passwords which are available right now, but I am sticking to the point that yes, after clicking the title on the Google page, they will go to the abstract page. If the journal it is available freely to all, they can download the article, but 95% of the journals, they are subscribed. So what researcher will do? He or she will search for some source, whether he or she can get that particular article. But still today, in spite of number of resources available, articles are not getting easily. And that's why the last option with the researcher is they will draw the conclusion about your work by reading the abstract only. And in that case, abstract plays an important role. It must be self-contained or self-explained. Means it must give the clear-cut information about the paper that you have presented. So again, it is 1 or 2 paragraph condensation of your entire work describing the article. So what are the 4 important elements of your part? The first part is what is the purpose, why the work has been carried out. Then what type of work you have done, what methodology you have adopted, what results you will get, and what conclusion you are going to draw it. If you ask the 4 questions, the answer of this particular 4 sub questions must be included in the abstract. Yes, what is the purpose of the study, why the study has been carried out, what methodology you have used, what result you will get, and what conclusion you want to draw. Now again, abstract, it should not be the summary of entire article. You have to stick to the words that has been mentioned by the journal, and you need to incorporate the 4 important factors: why the work has been carried out, what methodology you have used, what results you will get, and what is the conclusion part. Now, these are some examples of the abstract of my own work. So that we have published in 2013, I think, it's old one. So if you go through this abstract, now see, working on the different aspects of chemistry, addition of novelty, what I mentioned just now, the paper got accepted only because, see, if I could have thought that yes, I am a medicinal chemist, why I should enter in the area of synthetic, we can say, improvisation. So I have synthesized some oxidizole compounds. Oxidizoles can be synthesized by converting hydroxides with the help of different benzoic acid derivatives with the help of traditional catalysts like polyacids and many acids. If I could have used the traditional approach which I have synthesized are novel, if I would have evaluated for the antimicrobial activity, that is sufficient for the work. But addition of novelty, which I mentioned just now, it is very important. So to increase the novelty of my work, what I have done, we have carried out the transformation with the help of some nanocatalysts. Zinc oxide, it is a nanocatalyst which is used in the organic transformations for oxidative cyclization. TiO2, it is a nanocatalyst again which is used for oxidative cyclization. There were some reports at that time. Then we thought that yes, we will mix zinc oxide and TiO2 in equal proportion and we will use it for the catalyst. Then the catalytic activity has been improved. So this particular part, it has added a novelty to my work. No doubt, it is less concerned with the synthesis and biological activity, but for synthesis, we have used this particular catalyst. So catalytic chemistry we have used as an additional part and we have improved the novelty. So coming to the abstract part, abstract, it must be self-explanatory. It will give the information, complete information about the paper, because majority of scientific community is drawing the conclusion about your work by not reading the complete article, but by reading the abstract. If you wish that yes, my article should reach to the maximum scientific community, your abstract must be self-contained. This is again another example where same 1 to 4 oxidizoles, previous was 1, 3, 4 oxidizole, and this is 1. Now again, as I mentioned, journal used to upgrade the requirements. If such type of work I am going to communicate to European journal, they will not consider. This is the work which is just 12-13 years before. If you see the abstract, it is explaining, yes, it is giving the answer to the questions. What is the hypothesis? What methodology you have used? What result you will get? And what is the conclusion apart? Now again, another type of work which is not related to the synthesis, but we have carried out the HPLC method development on the rifabutin. Again, the same type of work which has been published in the African Journal of Pharmacy in 2011-12. Now, if you see the last part, conclusion apart. So if you read the last line of that particular abstract. So the force degradation study proved the stability indicating power of that particular method. So we have carried out the force degradation study, and force degradation study is effectively able, that particular method that we have developed, it is able to separate the degraded components and method got succeed. So these are some of the examples of, again, another graphical abstract. I have taken the examples from the different streams of pharmacy. So this is related to the shootings. Again, a different abstract I have taken, writing the abstract of review article. Though review article writing, it is not in the purview or it is not the topic for today's discussion, but still writing the abstract of review article is totally different. Writing the review abstract of research article is totally different. So this is one of the abstract where you need to mention about how your review article is different than others. That is very important. So basically, when we are writing the review articles, if already 5 review articles are there, we already published. If you are writing the 6th review article, in that case also, we can write the article, but your writing perspective should be different, and it will give a clear-cut idea about literature. Then again, graphical abstract. It is a requirement of the journals. Many journals, almost all journals, they are now asking for the graphical abstract. Now, what is the reason behind incorporation of this graphical abstract in the submission way? The reason is we are expecting that we should get the good platform for the publication. what journal is expecting? Journal is expecting that yes, the articles which are published in my journal, or editor will feel that yes, all the articles must be of good quality. It has to reach to the maximum scientific community, and ultimately the citations will be increased and the impact factor of the journal will increase. And for that, journals are continuously upgrading their requirements. Graphical abstracts, it has gained much importance in almost last 1.5 decade, last 15 years. So earlier, when we used to open the journal, we find one page, that is content page. In that content page, we used to get the title of the article, name of the authors, and their affiliations. But right now, if you open any journal, then you will get the title, graphical abstract, author details. Now, what is the reason? Reason is journal want to gain the attention of maximum researchers. The table of content, if you go through many journals, then they have incorporated this particular part as a mandatory part. And again, as the requirements are there, people are behind it. There are many firms, they have started giving the service of preparing the graphical abstracts. They have opened their offices, and we can find on the internet, yes, we will design your graphical abstract, see towards the content. Yes, as the requirement is there, people are behind preparing the graphical abstract. There are many softwares available like BioRender. We can prepare our graphical abstract. Obviously, these particular softwares are, we can say, subscription based. Now, the reason is journal want to reach to the maximum scientific community, so that maximum researchers should refer the articles. They should refer their work in their articles. Citations will be increased, impact factor, ultimately the quality of that journal will be improved. So that is the reason why graphical abstract nowadays plays an important role. Now, second part, that is introduction. Now, if you see the introduction, it introduces the reader to your research. Now, basically, if you see introduction, it is okay. Sorry. Basically, introduction is to introduce your work to the researchers. Introduction, it is totally different than summarizing all past literature as we did in the review article. Now, what introduction must contain? It must contain the type of problem that you have chosen. Then it must contain what is the current state of knowledge as far as the topic that you have chosen is concerned. It must contain what is the gap between the known and unknown. And it must contain the information how the findings of your research will address or will help to fill up that particular gap. So basically, introduction, it is not summarizing all the past literature, but it has to give the past literature focusing on where is the gap. It has to give the information about how that particular gap has been filled by the previous researchers, and still what are the limitations of the current science and how my work will be helpful for filling up that particular gap. So there are many research papers which I came across as a reviewer, that they have summarized all past literature and they have written the stories about what X has done and what Y has done. No doubt we have to give them the information about the past literature, but in a summarized form. Next, method. Some journals mention it as an experimental protocols, experimental procedures. All the experimental protocols that you have followed, they must be mentioned in this particular section. Again, as far as grammatical aspects are concerned, experimental procedures must be in the past tense. When we are writing something about concluding something, then it must be in the present tense. So these are use of active voice rather than passive voice. These are some of the suggestions. The next is result. So basically, result part, it is the most important part. And we have to present what are your findings. we need not give the reasons behind these particular findings in this section. That is the most important aspect. What people used to do is, in the result section, they used to give the explanation for that particular results. We have a separate section which is known as discussion section. Result must give the results which we obtained in the experiments, and discussion will give the reasoning behind the results. That is the basic difference between the result and discussion. Now, sometimes if the section is combined, result and discussion, first part is result and second part is a discussion. So the main function of this result is to summarize the data without comments for interpretation. Statistical data is to be reported in this particular section. What type of results you got, how the results are statistically significant, these particular points needs to be incorporated. Again, the second part, as I mentioned, discussion, it is the reasoning behind the results or analysis of your analysis about that particular results. That is very important. So this particular section evaluate the meaning of your results, why I got such type of results. Now in the discussion, there is one suggestion. I have carried out one experiment and after 4 trials I got the success. Then I always suggest that I cannot mention the final procedure that I got, but I need to mention that yes, I have tried path A, I tried path B, I tried path C, and I got the success in the path D. And the possible reasoning behind my success in the path D, I need to mention in this discussion section. Means whatever the failures I got during my research journey, all these failures needs to be mentioned. That will increase the authenticity of your work. If you are getting the success in the first attempt, no doubt, but still there are very rare researchers where we will get the success in the first experimentation. So ultimately, if being a researcher working on the platform, if you are working on some concept, then that particular concept needs to be worked with different aspects. And if you are getting the success at say, 3rd, 4th, 5th time, you need to mention about now what is the use of this research paper. It will not give the success stories. Research paper, it will also give the different we can say failure stories which are required, which we carry out in order to reach that success stories. Now, what is the use of this to the researcher? It will avoid the time of thousands of researchers who will work in that particular direction. And supporting science, it doesn't mean that we are giving some guidelines. Preventing the time of other researchers to go in that particular direction is also important. That is also supporting the time. That's why whatever the negative results during the journey, that results needs to be mentioned in this section and ultimately the authenticity of your work. Sometimes you are getting some unexpected results. That unexpected results needs to be mentioned and some possible explanation about the unexpected results needs to be mentioned in this particular section. So this is very important as far as the researcher is concerned. So if we think in one direction, but we are getting something different, but if you will be able to prove the reasoning behind that unexpected results, that will add a value for that particular aspect. Now next part, it is conclusion. Now conclusion, there are many researchers and many papers when I review, I found that usually it is a copy pasting of abstract. This should be avoided. We are not supposed to copy the abstract and paste in the conclusion section. Conclusion, it will give a future direction of your work. Yes, I have worked on the concept and these are some findings, no doubt, but these findings will open a new era in the research. Different statements like investigators studied, because already you have mentioned in the results. You have mentioned in the abstract part, yes, we got these particular results. You need not give the same sentences or same results in the conclusion section. Conclusion, it will give the future direction. So it is not a rewriting of abstract, but it will give a future direction about your work. Yes, no doubt, this particular work has been carried out. It will open a new era for the research working in that area. That should be the conclusion contained. Now, this is one example. If you see the last sentence of this is the conclusion part of the same abstract that I have shown. Now, basically, we have reported nano zinc oxide and TiO2 first time in a combined form. Yes, this is the first time use of that particular catalyst for organic transformation, that is conversion of hydrazide to 1,3,4 oxidizole. Now, if you see the last line, then the particular compounds that we synthesize, they shows promising antifungal activity indicating future scope. We are not claiming that they will be entering the market as antifungals. We are claiming that yes, further exploration on these particular molecules is very much important. And if we are claiming that yes, further exploration is needed, means we are giving the future direction of it. So this is the most important aspect as far as conclusion is concerned. It should not be yes.
Sir, 1 minute.
Okay. So basically, it should be totally different than the abstract, and it must give some future direction for the research work. Now, as I mentioned, idea needs to be explored. If idea remains idea of the paper, if it is not explored, it will not definitely helpful for the humans for their use. And that's why exploration of idea, it is very much important, and that is the key element as far as expansion of science is concerned. That's why whatever the future direction of work that you suggest, it will be always included in the conclusion part. That is the most important aspect, and how abstract and conclusions are different. So this is again a conclusion. Now, if you read the last sentence of the conclusion, we have worked on 1,2,4-oxidizole. We have worked on primarily on antifungal activity, because at that time, that is almost 13 years back, working primarily on the antimicrobial studies with synthesis and characterization. It can be considered as an important type of research at that time, but now we can say that this research cannot be considered by the journal which I am mentioning now. But still, if you see the last sentence, 1,2,4-oxidizole core we have selected. I am not saying that this particular compound will give a new molecule in the market, but it can be serve as an important gateway for the design and development of new antifungal agents with potent activity and minimal toxicity. So further exploration is needed. I am claiming that yes, there is some potential in this particular heterocycle with the certain modifications which I have carried out in the nucleus. You can, or researchers can further explore this molecule, and you may get some good antifungal agent. Now again, last sentence, if you read abstract which I have shown just now, whatever the method we have developed, that particular method, it can be used as a routine QC method. No doubt, number of quality control methods are available with for that particular drug, but this will an additional method overcoming the limitations of the existing method. So it will give some future directions of the work. Again, same conclusion for the patient. Now, next part, it is an acknowledgement. Research, it is a process which cannot be completed by one person. If anybody is saying that I have worked individually without support from anybody on one concept, that is totally wrong. Work is always been supported by many factors, many persons, many people are involved directly or indirectly, including the person who help you in cleaning your glass vase. So all the people who directly or indirectly supports your work, they need to be acknowledged. That is the most important thing. Every time we cannot give the authorship. Suppose somebody has given some extensive help as far as your research work is concerned. In that case, also you can acknowledge him. If your work is supported by some funds, then you can acknowledge the funding agency. If anybody who has given a partial help, but without him the work would not be completed, all such factors can be acknowledged. If you are working in the institution, the support by the institution is always needed. You need to acknowledge that particular institution. Now, usually a paper without acknowledgement, it will show an attitude of a researcher. That is the most important aspect. And see, editor makes a final decision. That is the most important thing. And whenever the ball is in the court of editor, he will see all these particular parameters. Yes, your politeness, that should be reflected in your writing. So if you are acknowledging all the factors, all the people who are involved in your work, directly or indirectly. It shows your attitude. And if there must be some sort of positivity in the mind of editor, if there will be a time to take decision about your manuscript, he may give some positive approach to you. So overall, acknowledgement is for acknowledging all the direct or indirect help that you receive for implementation of the idea in the laboratory. Now, table and figures, the most important part. Table and figures, the information which you have given in the table and figures, it must be explanation of the same should be given, but it should not be repeated again in the text. The reasoning behind the values that you have mentioned, the graphical presentation that you have given about a particular parameters, variation between the two parameters, that needs to be given, but the reasoning behind it should be given in the discussion section rather than repeating the information. So basically, table and figures, the values which if you have given, no need to repeat the values in the text. It will create your manuscript dull, because reading the manuscript in a flow, you need to maintain the motto of a reader till the end, so that a reviewer must create the interest in your manuscript. You will consider your manuscript. Again, references. Again, it is a very big topic of discussion. References must be as per the journal requirement. There are different ways by which we can cite the reference in the text and cite the reference at the end. Citing the references in the text and citing the references at the end, that is very much important. So these references must be as per the journal formats. Different softwares are available, different tools are available. They will directly help you to add this. I am not going in much detail, but you have to stick to the journal requirements. Sticking to the journal requirement, it will respect the journal, because as I mentioned, we are in the need of publication. We are approaching them. We need to follow their instructions. Now, this is all about submission process, which already we have covered. Before submission, we need to finalize the paper. Finalizing the paper from our mentor is very much important. Nowadays, there are very negative practices we came across. Students are publishing the paper which has been carried out in their post-graduation without name of the guide. Such type of things must be avoided. That will give you, we can say, joy of, we can say, success for some time, but it will create a stamp on you. Yes, if you are not acknowledging your guide, then if you want to go for further studies, ultimately there will be a question on your genuinity of research work. Now, all the co-authors that you have included, they must be approving your final submission, because nowadays journals have system. Whatever the submissions are there, the mails will be directly going to the co-authors. Unless and until that co-authors will approve it, the process will not be started. Then submission of copyright. Copywriting means once the paper will get accepted, you are transferring your copyrights to the journal. So these are some of the important requirements. Now, revision, some of the important aspects of revision. Once you receive the comments by the reviewer, no doubt reviewers may discourage with some comments, and some of the reviewers may encourage you with some comments. All the comments which have been given, they may be discouraging or encouraging. We have to take it positively. While addressing the comments to whom you are not agree, we need to address them politely, because our job is, our objective is, we need to convince them, even if the comments which have been given, you are not agree with them. So giving the polite answer, that will definitely help you. Disagreeing on particular views also should be in a polite manner. That is very much important, because every time reviewers are also researchers like us. They may give some comments to which you are not agree. In that case, that disagreement must be with the politeness. That is very much important. Again, submission of revision in time, that is very much needed. Now, again, if your paper gets rejected, do not get discouraged. Read it, go through the comments, revise your paper, resubmit to another journal. If they have given the chance of resubmission, improve the paper as per their suggestions and resubmit it. Now, again, these are some important aspects. What makes your paper dull? So all the points we have already discussed. So maintaining the researcher or reviewers interest till the end, that is very much important, because once the reviewer will lose the interest in between because of poor presentation, your paper get rejected. Then again, one important aspect, cover letter, it is one of the important aspect that will create some initial impression in the mind of reviewer or editor. So if you are working in the reputed institution, reputation of the institution is definitely helping in accepting the papers, but it doesn't mean that if the paper or work is not of good quality, because you are working in the good institutions, your paper get accepted. But it will establish the credibility of the author. It will create some sort of positivity in the mind of reviewer. Yes, he is a researcher from X institution, and whenever the time comes to take the decision on paper, where out of 4 reviewers, 2 reviewers are positive and 2 reviewers are negative, then some favorism may get from by the editor because you are working in the good institution, but that is not always working. So establishing credibility, it is very much important, and for that cover letters are required. Usually, if you are working in the reputed institutions with good reputation of publication, then cover letter of that institution with letterhead, that will work. If you are researchers working in the NCL, if you are communicating your article, writing the cover letter on a letterhead of NCL, it will create a sort of say positivity in the mind of, and this fact needs to be accepted by every researcher, because institution where you are working plays an important role. That is because of the credibility that has been established by the past researchers who worked in that institution. That is establishing the credibility is very important. Now, in last almost 1.5 hours, we have discussed many things. I shared some experience which I gained during say almost 2 decades during the communications. But as such, there are no written rules. Nobody can say that if I will write the abstract, this is perfect abstract. Nobody can say that if I will write the introduction like this. You have to start writing. You have to start communicating to the journal. Once you get the rejection, try to improvise your manuscript. After every rejection, if you improve your manuscript on one fine day, your manuscript will be considered by a suitable journal. And that's why I written. There is no way to get experience except through experience. That is the most important point. So nobody can be a good scientific writer in 1 or 2 communications. So you need to start writing. You need to communicate to the journal, get the rejections, learn from every rejections, again communicate to the suitable journal, and that will develop yourself as a good scientific writer, and on one fine day your paper will get accepted. Again, at the end, I'm thankful to team APTI Maharashtra, specifically Women's Forum, APTI Maharashtra. And again, I'm thankful to our principal, Dr. Degan sir, for allowing me to interact with you, and APTI, team APTI Maharashtra for giving a chance to interact with all you people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's now to say queries in the chat. By the time Dr. Vivek guest of honor for our session.
Good evening. I am audible, madam? Hello?
Hello. Yes.
I am audible?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Good evening. I apologize that I could not able to join at the beginning of this session due to some technical errors, and I'm joining this session after the completion. I congratulate to the Women's Forum of APTI Maharashtra State and the Capacity Building Forum of APTI Maharashtra State for conducting such a nice activity. And as soon as this new APTI Maharashtra body has came in the action since 2 years back, in the very first meeting, we have decided that when the APTI is going to do something for the benefit of the teachers, for the professional developments of the teachers. So in the first meeting only, we have decided that we should organize some kind of such kind of the program that is for train the trainers under this capacity building forum, and we have given this responsibility to Dr. Vinita Khanvilkar madam. Later on, recently we appointed Dr. Payal Dande madam as a Women's Forum convener for APTI Maharashtra State, and since last week she has initiated this activity. As soon as Dr. Payal Dande madam has taken the charge and appointed as a convener of the Women's Forum convener, she has initiated this particular activity, and all the team APTI members, all the office bearer, President Dr. Rakesh Somani, Vice President Dr. Siraj, and all the EC members, they are working hard for the development of the teachers of the Maharashtra state. And in this concern only, we are organizing this series of this empowering academic research, the workshop series for referencing and research writing. And on behalf of the APTI Maharashtra State, I am very much thankful to today's expert, Dr. Jayaprakash Sangasetti sir, that he has delivered the talk on research writing, art of research paper writing, and such kinds of the activity will be continued from the APTI Maharashtra State. I also congratulate and appreciate all the participants, those who have joined. And since last session only, we are seeing that there is a very huge response from the participants, from the teachers, because whenever we are doing any kind of the good activity, definitely there is a good response, and this we have proved by conducting such kinds of the activity. Many more activities to become from the APTI Maharashtra State, and definitely in the capacity of secretary and on behalf of the APTI Maharashtra State, I give you confidence, and I assure that APTI Maharashtra State will strive hard for the beneficial professional development and beneficial of the teachers. And also at the same time, I also would like to appeal to all the teachers that if anything you are expecting from the APTI Maharashtra State in the interest of the teachers, definitely you convey to us, and we are definitely going to do such kinds of and many more activities for the teachers of Maharashtra states. Once again, I am thankful to Dr. Jayaprakash Sangasetti sir, and congratulate to APTI Women's Forum and Capacity Building for conducting such kinds of activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your motivational remarks. Undoubtedly, we are getting a lot of guidance from all the EC members of Maharashtra. We are thankful for the same. Now the session is open for the query. I would request Jayaprakash sir to kindly shed some light on one of the query that has come from the discuss the article as to how to have a very creative title for the.
So, pardon, madam, what is the question?
Sir, the question is, please discuss on the title articulation. That is, how to articulate attractive and innovative title for the research.
Okay. Basically, as I mentioned, title, it is the most important part, which at the first time when anybody is searching on the Google, this particular title, it is the first part of your manuscript that will be that came across by any researcher. So that particular title must be grammatically creative, which I just now mentioned. Now, gaining the attention of a researcher is very important. Why it is important? How it plays an important role in, we can say, establishing yourself as a good researcher and reaching to the maximum scientific community that I mentioned. So it must involve some of the terms which completely explain your research work. That is the most important aspect. So whatever the keywords you are using, that are also important, but some of the words that must be summarize your research topic that you have carried out, that you have presented in the research paper, that should be included. Most important thing is it must be a single sentence. Then use of abbreviations must be avoided, and inclusion of some of the key terms which are included in your research work. That should be the most important aspect.
Thank you, sir. Question. They are asking, suggest some software to create good graphical abstracts?
Yeah. As I mentioned just now, there are many softwares available, but they are not free. Some free softwares, they are available for say 8 days, 10 days. But BioRender is one software which we can use. But all the specifications are not open for all. But if it is subscribed for say 1 week or 1 month, then we can get a good graphical abstract on it. So specifically for the people who are working in the chemistry and biology area, different templates, different types of tools which are required for graphical abstract construction, we can use the free version of BioRender initially. And if you feel that yes, we can use it in a better way, then you can get a subscription. Subscription is also not those who are working with some funds from the government bodies. For them, it is not a big for say 1 month 60 or 30, 50 to $60 they are charging. So we have this BioRender. We are using BioRender now.
Sir, render is paid version. Is it so?
Yes, but yes, it is a paid, but free version is also available. All the properties of that BioRender, they are not available, but still we can get some primary aspects of graphical abstract, and premier version is paid one.
Thank you, sir. I think the queries are completed, and most of the participants have given a positive feedback saying that the session was good. Undoubtedly, it has created clarity in the minds of participants related. There are participants who are there who are watching through YouTube live. So I would just quickly check if there are any queries on that particular chat box, or otherwise then we'll move on to the next part. There are no queries on the YouTube chat box, so I would request Dr. Vidya ma'am to kindly send.
Thank you, Dr. Payal. Ma'am, am I audible? Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege to extend the vote of thanks at the conclusion of the second day of our workshop on empowering academic research, a workshop series on referencing and research writing. Today has been an enlightening journey filled with valuable insights and practical knowledge. I, on behalf of Women's Forum and Capacity Building Forum, APTI Maharashtra State, would like to thank Dr. Rakesh Somani sir, President APTI-MS, for his constant guidance throughout in organizing the program. A special thank you to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Jayaprakash Sangashetty sir, Professor YB Chauhan College of Pharmacy, for delivering and engaging an insightful session on From Drafting to Publication, Mastering the Art of Research Paper Writing. Your deep knowledge of the entire process of writing a research paper from drafting to publication has made a lasting impact on all of us. The enthusiasm and passion with which you have shared your experience is truly motivating, which is sparkling new ideas and excitement about academic writing. With your helpful examples and tips, you have given us the tool to improve not only our writing skills, but also our confidence in taking our research from drafting to publication. We now have a clearer path to ensure our work makes a real contribution to the academic community. We are truly grateful for the valuable knowledge you have shared. Thank you, sir, once again for this information and memorable session. I would also want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our guest of honor, Dr. Vivek Redasni sir, for gracing today's session with your esteemed presence and inspiring work. Your guidance and encouragement have added great value to the essence of this workshop. I also take this opportunity to sincerely appreciate the efforts of organizing team, Dr. Payal Dhande, convener, Dr. Vinita Khanvilkar, and Mrs. Lovina Jain, coordinators, for this meticulous planning and seamless coordination in ensuring that the workshop is executed flawlessly. I would also like to thank our office bearers, APTI Maharashtra State, Dr. Swaroop Lahuti sir, Vice President, Dr. Shirish Jain sir, Vice President, Dr. Vivek Redasni sir, Secretary, and all the executive members of APTI. I would like to thank all the enthusiastic participants of this online workshop. Your commitment to enhancing your research skills and knowledge has made this day even more impactful. Finally, a big thank you to Professor Harshal Kotwal for the technical support who is behind the scenes for ensuring the smooth conduct of today's session. As we conclude the second day of this series, I hope everyone leaves with enhanced confidence and clarity in academic writing. Let us continue to empower ourselves with the knowledge shared and look forward to an equally productive days on coming Saturdays. Thank you all and have a great evening ahead. I request all the participants to kindly switch on their cameras for a group photo.
We would also request the participants to kindly fill the feedback form and the quiz form within next 2 hours. So it will be
Madam, you are muted. Payal, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya Busare. I would request the participants to kindly fill the feedback form as well as the quiz form within next 2 hours. The link will be active only for the next 2 hours. That is up to 7 p.m. I would request all the participants to kindly switch on their camera for the group. I would request Lavina ma'am to kindly share the link only without any text so that it is clickable and it is easy for the participants to use.
Ma'am, I think the participants are unable to put on their cameras. I think it is disabled.
Let me just check. No, it is not disabled. I have just muted them. The mic is disabled.
Okay.
Let's switch on your cameras. Check
So
one.
we have and you dancing and taking expression.
Hello. I would like to know from the participants if they can switch on their camera. Priya ma'am, are you able to switch on camera easily? Priya ma'am, we'll just wait for 1 minute for every.
Yeah, ma'am.
Somebody are able to on. I think most of them are not able to. Something there is a change in the setting might be.
Could be, sir. Okay, maybe we can take. Thank you so much for joining. Looking forward to all and to meet you all as the active participants for the next session, which is on the 30th, 2024. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you.
I would request Lavina ma'am once again. Please, Lavina.
Madam, shall I leave?
Yes, sir.
It's over, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, this session is I would request everyone to kindly fill up the feedback form and the response within next 2 hours. It is going to be active only for
Ma'am, where is the feedback form link?
it's even in the chat box. In the chat box.
But not visible.
It's so okay, sir. Very nice. Very nice. Yes, sir. We are getting a lot of positive. Those who have not received not able to see the link in the feedback, I'm going to copy it once again for them. Just give me a minute. Publish share the chat box. नहीं आपके मैसेज के साथ share कीजिए। So we are sharing the link of feedback and the link once again chat box. Kindly wait till it before. As you can see, the link for the chat feedback and link is posted once again to the chat box. The same will be also available on.
Payal ma'am, you are muted.
Hello, am I audible now? Am I audible? The link for both, that is quiz and feedback, is just being posted again in the chat box. Please click on the link and complete the feedback. Fill the feedback as well as the quiz to be eligible for certificate. And kindly check if both the links are for.
Ma'am, your mic is off. We are not able to hear you.
Am I
16th, which was held on 16th.
right now?
Can you share?
Ravina ma'am, please listen carefully.
Yes, yes.
That you have shared.
Yeah.
Are they of feedback in quiz?
Yeah, and one is of feedback.
Yeah, just check once again because some people are saying they're for quiz, but they are not able to find the feedback. The one which was there for the last session, that is on 16th November, it was active for that particular day and will not be able to share it again.
For quiz, I also can't share, but I'll just check on. Wait.
एकच लिंक आली आहे कुठे दोन आहे
दोन आहेत ना एका खाली एक आहे
फोटो काढा बरं तुमच्या फोनला माझी एक ऑलरेडी ऑन आहे
हो दोन आहेत एक फीडबॅकची आहे आणि एक क्विजची आहे एकामध्ये एंडिंग आहे YI9 एकामध्ये आहे MP6 असे दोन आहेत लिंक्स पाहिलं का वरची क्विजची आहे आणि त्याच्या खालची आहे जी फीडबॅकची आहे
Which of the following is not required in reference list of the research paper? Year of publication, contact number of author. No? What is a list of?
Okay. Navina ma'am, kindly copy the link again for feedback separately and for quiz separately. So you write text that is link for feedback and then give the link later. And let's go. Navina ma'am, you can unmute yourself now. I would request participants to do not discuss anything chat box. It's on your personal decision what to do. Please do not discuss answers or any of the questions about quiz in the chat box. Ravina ma'am, unmute yourself. For those who have attended the last session on YouTube, we'll quickly come back to you, tell you an address how you can.
Payal ma'am, just see. Can you see link for feedback?
But don't leave this way. It's okay. Fine. Okay. It's clickable.
Okay. For quiz also, should I send or it's over?
Okay.
Okay, fine. I'll send for quiz also, similarly.
Sir, this is for feedback. I've just opened it and it's working.
Payal ma'am, can you see link for quiz?
Yes.
We both can't open that because we have responded, but it will be open to the other people. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. The links are opening because I have tried.
Yeah.
I have clicked on the links. Both are opening.
Yes. So I think now we'll close the session because all the queries are resolved. and we have also copied the link and has been shared on. It is available as over there as well. March we keep it active. We will request participants to complete and submit the forms, fill the forms in next months. Both the links are also being posted and thank you for joining us. Thank you, Lavina ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Vidya.
Thank you, Payal ma'am. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Should we leave?
Yes.
Okay.